Teruan Saranai. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope all of you are well, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to our Sunday School online program. And if you're joining us for the first time, thank you, kids, children, and the parents who are supporting us. And this is the new way of how we can communicate to each other and continue our learnings of Dhamma. Now, those who have been here with us on the previous day, you know what we discussed. Just for those who haven't been here with us before, I'll quickly explain what we did last week. So the Swami Mahansa explained the importance of 5 precepts, and then we spoke about how to behave at the temple. We spoke about the significant importance of the Ratana Sutra, and then we discussed about mindfulness and how to control anger. So we have a very similar approach today with our day 2 of this program. We have 4 presenters, including our Hamduru, who will share 15 minutes each on each of the topic, and then we will follow by questions and answers session. So before we go further, I just want to ask how's everyone doing at home, even though you cannot reply back. And with your answers, I hope all of the children have been well and safe and helping parents and siblings, because most of us are now staying at home, can't go out and play. So I hope everyone's being helpful and being very mindful and looking after each other. So I just want to do a quick housekeeping session. I encourage you to have a piece of pen and a paper, write down any questions, any learnings that you learned from this session today. And also I will show you how to ask questions if you have questions during the session. So you can send the questions, we can discuss that at the end of the program. And also I want to invite the parents as well to continue to stay with us during the program, because it could be a very good Dhamma refresher for you as well. What we've done is we've also added the last session to Dhamma Sarana YouTube page. So if you felt like you missed out, of course you haven't, you can go and look at the video we did last week. So I'm going to quickly show you the Dhamma Sarana YouTube page, and then also how to ask the questions if you have any. So bear with me, I'm just going to bring that on my screen now. So now you're looking at the Dhamma Sarana YouTube page. So if you click and subscribe, you can see most of the videos we have done and most of the Dhamma sermons we have published. So we have posted here the last week Dhamma School online program as well. And then second, thank you. I think there were a couple of technical difficulties earlier, so I am back on track now. So these are some of the new challenges we have of the online teaching. I hope everyone can bear with us and work towards it. So if you saw the previous slide, I wanted to show you, it's about how to access Dhamma Sarana webpage on YouTube for the previous Sunday School online programs. And also on your top right hand side of this corner, there is a question mark. If you click that, and it will give you a little drop box on the bottom, so you can type the question. You can send the question to us, so we can leave that for the question and answer session for later on. So now, without further delays, as for the formalities on a usual Sunday at the Sunday School, what we're going to do now is I'm going to respectfully invite our Shanta Vimala Tero to administer 5 precepts. So if you're seated, you may either stand up or perhaps sit on the floor for that. And now with that, I respectfully invite Shanta Vimala Tero to administer 5 precepts. Hamdurone Avasarai.
Good afternoon, my dear children, and I'm very happy to see you today. And before we start our program, I kindly request you to say Namo Tassa 3 times in order to observe 5 precepts. Say Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa
Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sang saranang gacchami.
Tiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Yampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Saranaгаmanang sampunnang. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Anatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinādana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Innādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kāmesu miccācārā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kāmesu miccācārā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musāvādā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Avādā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Suramere majjapama dattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Rahamere majjapama dattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Tisaranena saddhim panchasilang dhamman sadhukam surakhitam kattva appamadena sampade tabbam.
Bante. We thank our Shanta Vimala Swami Vahanse for administering us on 5 precepts. Now, before we go into the first segment of our program today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite our Dhamma School coordinator, Mr. Vijayadasa Alankarage, to quickly and briefly explain what is this program, the content of the program, and what's the future of this program looks like for everyone who are at the Dhamma School. So for now, I'm going to invite our Vijayadasa sir to give us a quick explanation of the Dhamma School online program. Vijayadasa sir, over to you.
Thank you, Siddharth sir. Teruvan Saranai. Dear students and parents, this online series and the talks are structured to meet your Dhamma School need. Most of talks today and future align with your lessons not yet completed. Once Dhamma School is open, most likely we are not in the position to cover all the lessons required for this year. Therefore, most likely we will exclude the lesson those are covered under this talk. Therefore, it is important for all the students to participate in this online program. Also, the presenters here are your current and former teachers and also knowledgeable Dhamma people. So they are the people really talking here. Apart from the presenters, so there are so many other people behind these talks that spending their personal time to make this reality. Therefore, we request all the students to take this time effectively. This will be definitely valuable for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijayadasa, and I hope that everyone got the message from Vijayadasa about the importance of these participating in these online programs, because that we may not be able to go back and capture the missed lessons because of the current situation in the country and in the world. Now, I'm going to ask a question, and you can put your hand up if you are at home, even though I can't see you. So my question, there are 3 questions. First is, who has friends? And I imagine all of you will probably be putting your hand up now. And my second question is, who has good friends? I think I can still see a lot of hands going up. My last question is, who only has good friends, or you can tell that all of the friends you are or you have are only the good friends? That's a question to think about, isn't it? Because it's very important for us to know who are the good friends, the qualities, and also the qualities of the not so good friends, and perhaps keep some distance. So that is what we're going to discuss in our first segment. So our Venerable Shanta Vimala Thero going to explain, use a Dhammapada verse, and explain to us about the types of friends that we should associate it with, and also we should be mindful of that not so good friends. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to respectfully invite our Venerable Shanta Vimala Thero to complete or conduct the first segment of this program. අවසරයි හාමුදුරනේ ඔබ වහන්සේට දැන් අවස්ථාව.
නබජේ පාපකේ මිත්තේ නබජේ පුරිසාදමේ බජේත මිත්තේ කල්යානේ බජේත පුරිසුත්තමේ. Dear members of the panel and dear children who are joined together with us from your home, I'm warmly welcome all of you to join our program today. First of all, I would like to say thank you to members of the panel and also the committee members and some of the well-wishers who come forward to organize this special Dhamma sharing program. So we started this last week, and today also we are going to talk about another topics. And we have not forgotten our Dhamma Sunday school children, and we remember them always. So even though we are having this severe or difficult situation in the world today, we have not forgotten you. So we decided to provide you some materials and guidance and also Dhamma knowledge for the betterment of your life. So let me start my talk today. I'm going to talk about one of the most important topics in the world today, and I have quoted and I have selected one of the important verses in the Dhammapada. It's a verse number 78 actually. So there are 423 verses in the Dhammapada, and there are 26 sections in the Dhammapada. I'm not going to talk about the Dhammapada. I just gave you the brief introduction of the Dhammapada. So, Nabaje Papake Mitte, Nabaje Purisadame, Bajecha Mitte Kalyane, Bajeta Purisuttame. The meaning goes in this way. We should not associate wicked, bad, evil friends, but we should associate with noble, spiritual, virtuous friends. So that type of association will bring us for the successful of our life and also for the downgrade of our life if we associate bad friends. So in my topic, I'm going to answer 4 questions. So first question, why we should not associate with bad, evil, and wicked friends. The second question is why we should associate with spiritual, virtuous, and good friends. And the third question is that how should we recognize good friends, virtuous friends, and spiritual sin, and also bad, wicked friends. The fourth question is who are the good friends to be associated with, and who are the bad friends not to associate it with. So those are the 4 questions that I'm going to answer to you in my talk. So first 2 questions will be answered at the beginning of my talk. So I want you to pay your attention very carefully, and I want your attention on my talk. And if you want to write down something, you can also write down some specific and important points. So modern scientists and some educational specialists in the world today have elaborated, have explained, have said that a person should start working towards his future success from the beginning of his or her childhood. So as a children, they must think about the proper association when even the beginning of their life, starting of their life. For example, at the beginning, if the student start associating with good friends, that will that will really benefit for them in the future. At the same time, if they do not associate good friends at the beginning of their life, that may affect their life forever. So that is why it is very important. So the social association is very important for someone to be good and someone to be bad as well. So considering this fact, the responsibility of the parents is to keep away their children from the bad friends, wicked friends and evil friends. At the same time, it is their duty to let them to associate spiritual, virtuous, good friends. So that is the great, well-established foundation for the betterment of their future success. So therefore, it is very, very important. So therefore, this kind of success will give the good foundation for all the children to become a successful person in this world. And also the bad association will give them the bad successful life in the future. So for example, if I give you a very good example, very practicable active example, think about the tree, right? Apple tree or any other type of tree. So when you plant a tree, what do you need to do? You need to put the good fertilizer, you need to put good soil, and you need to put water, and also you need to put them outside in order to get sunlight. So in that way, if you provide all these requirements for the tree, then the tree automatically will grow well and bear its fruits. So in that way, that kind of tree and the fruits will be benefited for people in many ways in the society. At the same time, if you do not provide all those requirements to the tree, then the tree may not grow well and tree may not bear its fruits very well. So in that way, if the person start association with the good friends, definitely those good association will definitely benefit for them personally and also will be benefited to the society in general. And also if the person try to associate with the bad friends, that bad association will definitely affect their future success for personally and also in generally. So therefore it is very, very important to associate good, spiritual, virtuous friends for always. Let me give you a very good example. You may have heard about the story of the King Ajatasattu, right? King Ajatasattu was the son of King Bimbisara, and he was a very good son and he was a very pious king at the beginning. But what happened to him? He started associating with Devadatta, Venerable Devadatta. Due to that bad association, what King Ajatasattu did was he killed his own father, right? He has committed one of the heinous karmas in the Buddhist dispensation. So after that, King Ajatasattu died and he went to the purgatory state due to the bad association of the Devadatta. And also you may have heard about the story of Sattikumbha Jataka, the great story of the two parrots, right? One parrot associated good friends and other parrot associated bad friends, evil friends. So in that way, from these all examples, what we can learn is that the good association and bad association will definitely affect our future success. Therefore, it is very, very important for you to associate good friends and avoid association of bad friends. So now it is time for us to discuss how do we recognize whether they are good friends or whether they are bad friends. It is very important because some people just associate them without not knowing, right? Without understanding. So according to the point of the Buddha has explained, we must be intelligent enough in order to recognize our friends. We must be very intelligent people in order to recognize the character of the people. The second point is that we must associate them closely, right? If you associate your friends closely, of course, later you can understand whether your friend is a good one, whether your friends are good or whether your friends are bad. So the third one is we should have a proper understanding of our friends. You should have good understanding about your friends in order to associate them more closely, right? So that is how we should use our techniques in order to understand who are the good friends and who are the bad friends. So the next point is the most important point of our talk. Who are the worthy people to be associated and who are the unworthy people to be associated with. So this part is the most important part of my talk. Please listen carefully. According to the Singalovada Sutta, you may have heard about the Singalovada Sutta. Singalovada Sutta explains the guidelines for the betterment of lay person in the society. So this all in this sutta, all the advices of the Buddha which gave to the Singala. So in this sutta, there are 4 types of good friends, spiritual friends to be associated with, and there are 4 types of bad friends not to be associated with. So let me talk about the first. Who are the evil friends not to be associated with? Please write this down, okay? The first person not to be associated with is Anya Dattu Haramitta. Anya Dattu Haramitta means a friend who is seeking benefits, especially money from you, right? Especially hoping to get some benefits from you. That kind of friend you should not associate with, right? Some friends always want to be with you in order to get some benefits from you. That is called Anya Dattu Haramitta. So that type of friends should be avoided, should not associate with. The second is Vachi Paramamitta, a person who helps you only by words, right? Some people say, oh, okay, don't worry, I will give you some money, I will help you to do your homework, and I will come with you to go to the city, I will come with you to go to the school, in that way. But they don't do. They only give by words. They give only words but no actions. So that type of friends should not be associated with, because they are vachiparam, only by words, no actions. So the third one, Anupyabani Mitta. The third one is Anupyabani, friend. The friend who always approves, accepted both good and bad things that you do. Such kind of friends also you should not associate with. For example, if you steal something, if your friends say, oh, stealing is a good thing, don't worry, it's good. So he approves and he accepts that bad thing. So that type of friends should not associated with, right? So the last one, Apaya Sahaya Mitta, a friend who leads you to do bad things. That type of friends also you should not associate with. Those friends who tell you, oh, killing is good, let's do killing for fun. Those kind of friends, they lead you to go to the unhappy places in the future, like Apaya, right? So we should not associate such kind of friends. So those 4 types of people are not to be associated with. So let's talk about the people who should associated with, right? Then who should be associated? If when the monk say, oh, those types of friends should not associate with, then who should be associated with? That's another question that you may have. So there are 4 types of spiritual, virtuous, and noble friends according to teachings of the Buddha. What is the first one? Who's the first person? Who's the first one? Upakaraka. This is the most important friend that you should associate with. Upakaraka means a friend who helps you in your needs, right? For example, when you need something, if your friend help you, if your friend really helps you, and then you should associate that kind of friend. Who should not avoid you when you are in need, then you should associate such kind of friends. And the second person you should associate it with is Samana Sukha Dukkha Mitta, a friend who is ready to give his or her life for you, or for the betterment of your life. For example, they are ready, the people or the friend who is ready to give even their life for the betterment of your life, we should associate it with. So the third one, attakai mitta, a friend who protects you from evil, from danger, right? There are in this world there are some people, they don't really want to help their friends when they are in danger, right? Sometimes they are very selfish, they just think about themselves. But but if the friend really helps you when you are in danger, then you should associate such kind of friends. And the last one is anukampaka mitta, the friend who becomes very happy having seen your progress, having seen your success. So, and also the friend who praise those who speak goods about you, right? So such kind of friends you should associate. For example, if your friend tell good things about you, and if you praise the friends who talk good about you, you should associate it with such kind of friends. You should not associate friends who talk behind you, right? So these are the good things, these are the friends you should associate it with, and those are the people you should not associate it with. So please try to remember what I told you just now, and try to remember the good person and bad person that we need to associate it with and not to associate with. So bear in your mind and try to practice this teaching every day, and you will reap and you will see the good result in the future. I wish you all the best and hope to see you very soon at Sunday school. And we miss all our Sunday school small children and all the students. Wish you all the best. Dhamma Sarana.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope everyone listened very carefully for the Swami Vahansa, who explained the types of good friends and the type of bad friends, and also the qualities, how to identify good friends and bad friends. Now, we need to remember, as we grow up at school or in the future when you're out in the community, it is bound to happen. You will come across these types of friends, but it is up to you, to your knowledge and your Dhamma knowledge, especially to identify the goods and the bads and stay away from the bad and continue to improve the good and try to associate with the good friends. Also, you can look at yourself and see what type of qualities you have as a friend to others. If you have any bad qualities, you can try to get rid of. And if you don't have, or if you have already the good qualities, you can continue to improve those qualities as you grow up. So that's the key message from Swami Vahansa. Now we are going to, for our second segment, it's by our Dhamma School coordinator, Mr. Vijaydas Alankarage teacher. So what the teacher is going to talk about is, we all know at what age Prince Siddhartha left the palace. So I hope you know the answer, but if you don't, it's the age of 29 is when Prince Siddhartha left the palace. But we know after that, Prince Siddhartha was known as ascetic Gautama and spent 6 difficult years, went through a lot of hardships before understanding the truth, the noble truths. So Vijaydas, the teacher, will explain to us in a little bit more detail how those 6 years were and some of the difficulties that ascetic Gautama had to go through. So without any further delays, I'm going to invite Vijaydas now for our second segment to talk about these 6 years of ascetic Gautama. Vijaydas, sir, over to you now.
Thank you, Siddhanta sir. Dhamma Sarana. Good afternoon, everyone listening here. And I hope you all are safe and free from current problems and healthy and stay well. So the Siddhanta sir mentioned about the topic. So in this topic really aligning with your lessons in your classes. I hope those students who are having textbook, they are nearby you. For example, for prep student, this topic is related to page 18. Year 1 student, this topic is related to pages 25 and 26. Year 2 and 3 student, it is about lesson 6. Year 4 student, it is about lesson 4. Year 5 student, it is your lesson 3 class note. So these are your lesson. So the other student may be wondering, is this talk applying to them? Yes, of course, because this talk is structured to cover all the students and you all have something to learn. All right. So earlier you heard about the topic. So for the topic, I will divide Lord Buddha's life into 3 segments. First of all, Prince Siddhartha's period, then ascetic Gautama period, and then finally Lord Buddha. Many of you know about Prince Siddhartha period. So he was a wealthy prince and spent like excessive comfortable life, had 3 palaces and all the luxury things he needed. However, he was not happy. He was really looking for something more. Is this the truth of this life? Is this the only thing we can achieve, this accessible, comfortable life given here? So he was wondering. And finally, you remember, at the end, he saw that the old person, sick person, and then the dead body, and finally ascetic. And then he realized that there is suffering. We all need to face this suffering. So there is no escape. So we have to get away here. With that mind, so at the age of 29, as earlier mentioned, he determined to find the remedy or solution for this problem. And you remember that same day he heard about that he got a new son. I believe you remember that time words came from his mouth, Rahula Jato Bandhanan Jatang. What it means, those Pali words, the bond created, obstacle created. Bond created, obstacle created for what? That is for his long journey toward getting the liberation or the satisfaction from this life. So his long journey, having a son, is he saw that bit of obstacle. That's why, if you remember, he went to the palace and he went to see his wife and son, but he did not enter that room. He was at the doorstep and look them, and then he did not enter. He went back and he got to associate Channa. With Channa, he went to the river called Anoma. He was at the Anoma river bank. So I will give you 2 seconds to think about what happened at the bank of the Anoma. So what he did really here, he removed his old royal garments and he shaved his head and he became ascetic. From there, our talk is really actually start really here. Now he is ascetic. He is going to see the truth of this life. So now next 6 years, he was doing that. So what happened really then? So now this new ascetic, we call ascetic Gautama, he went to the other places and finally he went to the city called Rajagaha. So one day that he was going through the street for his arm round. That means to get Pindapata. So he went house by house and then finally he got some food, and one particular place he said to get that food, eat that food. You know what? Then he was looking at his bowl and it was disgusting. It came for vomiting to him. Why is that? Because as a prince, he had every luxury thing, all the good food. But now you can understand when you go home by home, so maybe around 10 o'clock, so you get different kind of things. Maybe rice, maybe fruit, porridge, whatever, everything together, it's like a kind of a vomiting stuff. So it was disgusting. And finally what he thought, that did I come to get good food here? No, I got more things to do, big thing to do. I have a very useful and very important determination. So I must calm my mind. So I must eat this stuff. So that way he really ate that stuff and really then really used to that type of foods and everything. Then You remember that he met King Bimbisara and he offered to give half of his kingdom, but he refused then. Then he was looking for teachers. First of all, he went to a teacher called Alara Kalama. Alara Kalama was a person who really practiced nowadays called Samatha Bhavana, went to very high level. So ascetic Gautama practiced that Samatha Bhavana and practice of doing the calmness of mind. Then finally he thought, is this the end? So he realized that this is not the end. Then he went to another teacher called Uddaka Putta. So he did bit more there, also same path, Samatha Bhavana. So then finally he realized that there also it is not the truth. Then the teacher told him, get half of my student and stay here as a teacher. But ascetic Gautama did not like it. He went, now he's in his own way. He went to an area called Urvela or Urvel. That area is famous for many ascetics those days. Please remember that time, many ascetics are trying to find the truth of the life. So there are many people like that. So some ascetic, you remember, they are really hanging on one foot for whole day. Some others are hanging upside down. Some others are looking on sun for whole day. Likewise, these people are practicing very hard practices, giving hardship to their bodies. So, ascetic Gautam also started of doing that, practicing hard things to the body. That kind of practice is called in the Buddhism Atta Kilamatanu Yoga. Atta means self. Kilamata means giving the hardship. Yoga means following, practicing. So you understand the three parts of the meaning. That is giving hardship to your body and following that. So ascetic Gautama started off doing that. So then he got associate 5 ascetics, Kondanya, Vappa, Badhya, Mahanama, Saji. They were helping him. So ascetic Gautama is practicing and he gradually reduced his food. And you know, some of you have heard that he was sitting under the tree. So some days he was eating only leaf falling into the vicinity of his area. Some day 1 grain or 1 seed like that. Finally his tummy shrunk into his spine. So thing. Some days he fainted. Then some divine beings, or we call gods, they went to King Suddhodana, that is ascetic Gautama's father, told King Suddhodana, your son is dead. Gods did not know that he was fainted. So however, father did not believe. This has happened a couple of times. So when ascetic Gautama fainted, some shepherd boys, those boys who are looking after cows, goats and like that, they put some milk, then really ascetic Gautama got some energy and awakened up. Finally, what happened? Ascetic Gautama realized this is not the path. Following this giving hardship to the body, that is not the path. So now ascetic Gautama knows 2 paths, 2 extreme paths. Remember, in the young age, he as a prince, he got a lot of luxury life. That path is called in Buddhism Kama Sukha Likkhana Yoga, giving excess comfort. Now as an ascetic, he practiced the giving hardship, that is called Atta Kilamatanu Yoga, 2 extreme sides. So now he realized these 2 extreme sides are not the path to liberation. So he gave up this giving hardship to the body. So he started of eating a bit more to really manage his life. And then you know what happened? Those 5 ascetics helping him, they thought ascetic Gautama gave up the idea of becoming Lord Buddha or liberating. Therefore, we should not wait here. They left there. And then what happened? Ascetic Gautama is now alone. So he went to the area called Gaya. Nowadays in India, we call Buddha Gaya. So he went there. Now it is almost 6 years. 6 years of effort and 6 years of hard life. Now it is almost to the end of the 6-year period. Thereafter, a couple of things happened. So many of you know that one day that he was sitting under the tree, and then the lady called Sujata came there, offered some milk rice, and he got milk rice and went to a river called Neranjara, and he had a bath, and then he ate and put the plate to the river and make a vow that if my determination is successful, let this plate go upstream. Actually, that plate went upstream, then he know that it is happening now. Therefore, thereafter, then he went and then he got 8 handful of grass, and then he went to a Bodhi tree, sat there, and he made a determination without being a Lord Buddha, without becoming a Lord Buddha, I will not stand again. Made a determination and sat there, and that night he really started Anapanasati Bhavana. You all know about the Anapanasati Bhavana. Some days our Swamin Wahanse really practiced you at the assembly. That is about the focusing on breathe. So he started Anapanasati Bhavana, and he went inside of his mind, and he was gradually getting those knowledge. In Buddhism we call jnana. So therefore, then he really got the knowledge of, first of all, his past life, and then he got the how people are dying and having the birth again, and then the knowledge about these people or the living beings having a different form of life, like this life someone may be a man, next life may be a cow or something like that. He saw all these things. At the last part of the night we call Panchamayama in the Buddhism. So he really realized the Four Noble Truth. Four Noble Truth means suffering, cause of suffering, and the cessation of suffering, and the path to suffering. Path, cessation of suffering, and path to the cessation of the suffering. These Four Noble Truth he realized. Later in one of our talk we will cover this Four Noble Truth. So at the end of realizing Four Noble Truth, he realized Nibbana, he became a Lord Buddha. That's how his 6-year period ended. All right, the important part of this talk really about from this 6-year period, what can you learn? From Lord Buddha had so many sermons, so many reciting gathas and everything. They all teach us something. We all have lessons. But here I am talking about his 6-year period, 6 years as an ascetic. So first of all, what lesson we can learn? I will mention here some of them, but you remember some more. All right. First of all is that adjust to the situation. Remember, first day when he went through the Rajagaha, he got the food. It is a really disgusting food. He used to that. Therefore, he adjusts to the situation. Otherwise, he cannot survive. Remember, nowadays we all face some difficulties, maybe about our food or other thing. That means we have to adjust to the situation. So that way we have to live. Otherwise, we cannot survive. That's the one thing. Then the hardship. He faced many hardships, but he never gave up. He had a good determination. He never gave up. So we face hardship. If you have a good determination, you should not give up that one. That's another lesson you can learn. Then his determination. Remember that he left the day that he got a son. That is his determination. And 5 ascetics left, but he then did not give up. And then the Bodhi tree, he made the determination and he went there. So he continued that way. That means he did not lose his determination. That's the way. The other thing, finding new ways. Remember, he went to 2 teachers. He learned them, but he realized that is not the end. Once you learn about that is not the way. That means you have to find new ways. The last teacher told him that get half of my students, become a teacher. If he did that way, he will never become a Lord Buddha. That means once you realize that this is not the path, then we have to find the alternative ways. Always there are alternative ways if the way we are going is strong. That's the thing. Then the confidence and the patience. So this 6 years period, he had many problems. Even then, he did not lose his confidence. He determined, I can do it. That's a good thing you need to learn there. I can do it. Always, if you are trying to do a good thing, whatever the problem you are facing, challenges, you need to have an attitude, I can do it, and you have to have the patience for that. Lastly, gratefulness. Remember, this is really going beyond the 6-year period. Once he become Lord Buddha, you see that he want to help the others, share his knowledge. Who are the people he was looking for? First of all, he was looking for 2 teachers. Then he was looking for those 5 ascetics, because those people really help him when he was ascetic really here. That is the showing his willingness to make that the way of doing the showing the gratitude and the gratefulness. There are so many other occasions and example as the Lord Buddha he show his gratefulness. All right. So now this is the end of the talk. I briefly mentioned about the 6-year period, what happened and what are the things you can learn there. All right. So talk is going to end. My talk is going to end. However, it is not end for you. So I request the student, please go through the lessons I mentioned earlier. Have a look on there. Look there. And also year 2 and 3 student, please see lesson 6 homework. There are questions. Please do those homework. One day when we commence the Dhamma school again, your teachers will go through those exercises and will correct them. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Vijayadasa sir, for explaining in detail about the leading up to the 6 years of ascetic Gautama and also what happened after until the moment that Lord Buddha achieved the enlightenment. I think there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from that 6 years alone, but it is also important for us to remember this is just the last life of Prince Siddhartha leading up to becoming Lord Buddha. And there were many uncountable number of lives that Lord Buddha leading up to as Bodhisattva sacrificed many times to understand the truth so we all could benefit it. And that's why we are always that very grateful for Lord Buddha and with utmost respect. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask questions on the top right-hand side of your screen. There is a little question mark. If you click that question mark icon, it will give you a little box on the bottom so you can type the question and send it to us so we can have that question later on for the questions and answers session. So next segment is conducted by one of our former teachers, a veteran teacher most of the students know. He is our Ajit Gunatilaka teacher, and the topic he's chosen today is to talk about the 6 senses. So if you know about 6 senses, this is a good chance for you to learn a bit more. And for those who don't know anything, or could be the first time you hearing about the 6 senses, so it would be a new topic for you as well, a new area of Dhamma. So without any further ado, I'm going to invite Ajit sir now to talk about the 6 senses. Ajit sir, over to you now.
Thank you, Siddhanta sir. And Ayubowan, everybody. It's nice to be back with all the children, and also welcome to any parents who are listening as well. So, as Siddhanta sir mentioned, today I'll be talking about 6 senses or 6 sense doors. That is something the Lord Buddha had talked about many times throughout his teaching life. Why? The Buddha realized that all these beings in the samsara, including humans, they are going in this endless journey in the samsara because they are attached to the things that they sense through their 6 senses. So what the Buddha said was that if a person can get rid of that attachment to the senses, he or she can break that journey in samsara and get rid of all suffering and achieve Nibbana. But the people who are just indulging in the senses will just continue to go in this samsara and continue to have all kinds of suffering. So that is why he felt that talking about or teaching about 6 sense doors is very important. So firstly, what are these 6 senses? Firstly, it is the eye. With your eyes, you sense things in the world by seeing things. And then the second sense are your ears. With your ears, you hear the sounds in the world. And the third one is your nose. And what do you do with the nose? You get smells through your nose. And similarly, with your tongue, the 4th sense, you sense taste. And the fifth one is the body. Through the body, you sense touch and also heat. And what is the sixth sense? That is the mind. That is actually the most powerful one. With the mind, you get thoughts, you remember things, and so that is one of the most important senses. Why did the Buddha call these as six sense doors? Obviously, if you think of your house, how do people come into the house? It is through the doors. Like that, these sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and touches, and the thoughts in the world, they come into you through these six senses. So they are like doors. So that is why the Buddha called them six sense doors. Now, what is really the problem with these senses? Now, if you think, now you need these senses to survive or live in this world. Even the Buddha and all Arahants, they had these six senses, but they used them carefully. They used them wisely, not like ordinary people. Now, if the Buddha wanted to go and see someone to tell them the Dhamma, for example, he went to see Angulimala to tame him. Then Buddha had to go to the forest, and when he saw Angulimala, he knew that, okay, I have seen Angulimala. If he did not have the senses, or if he did not use the senses, he would not know that. So he used his eyes, the Buddha used his eyes. But then what is the problem with other beings? The problem with other beings is we are not just seeing and using that wisely, we are getting attached to them. We get indulged in them. And we want to get pleasure through these senses. So that is the big problem. What the Buddha pointed out was humans and all other beings in this universe, they never get satisfied with the senses and they keep seeking more and more pleasures. And that is what keeps you going in this samsara. Now, for example, just think of seeing a movie. So you see a movie through your eyes, and also if there is nice music in there, you hear that through your ears. And after you watch a movie, if you are getting pleasure and permanent happiness through that, you will never want to see another movie again. Because if you got permanent happiness, then you will be satisfied and you will just say, I don't want to see anything. But it is not the case. Just imagine how many times you may have seen the same movie over and over again. I am sure many of you may have seen something like, say, Home Alone more than one time. I have seen, I have to admit. And many of you may have seen, say, something like Harry Potter movies many, many times. I know my kids, they used to watch it over and over again. I don't know, they never got bored with that. Maybe many of you are like that too. You may be sitting in front of the TV even now because the schools are closed and you can't go out. You may be watching movies over and over again without ever getting satisfied. And similarly, how about taste? You may be wanting to eat pizza, wanting to eat chocolate, wanting to eat cake, or wanting to eat whatever other things, or burgers, or whatever that you like. And when you eat one, you will be thinking, can I have seconds? And then you are not satisfied. Can I have thirds? Please, mom, please, dad, can I have? So you're not satisfied with what you got, and you want to eat more. But what's the problem now? So you keep on eating, and then if you overeat, what happens? Then you get suffering. But if you want more and your mom or dad says, no, that's enough, you can't have any more, then you are having suffering. So whether you get satisfied by eating one, you are not going to have lasting happiness there, because after a while you will be hungry again, you will be wanting that again. So it is a never-ending thing. So Buddha, being the best teacher the world has ever known, gave many similes or examples for people to understand the danger of these pleasures through senses. So he said, the beings in this world who are seeking pleasures through their six senses are like animals or thirsty animals who are stuck in a desert. animals in the desert, they may be looking for water. And when they look far, they can see something like water. What is that? It is not real water, it is a mirage. When it is very hot, even on a freeway, sometimes you may have seen the mirage. So it is something that looks like water in the far distance, and you can see the reflection of the sky in that. So you think, oh, there is water there, there is a lake there. But then it is actually not there, it is just an illusion. But the poor animals, they don't know that. So in the desert, when they are thirsty, when they see that illusion of that lake, they just keep chasing that, thinking that they can get a good drink of water. But as they move towards that, what happens? That illusion, that mirage also moves farther. So they keep on chasing until they die of thirst. So what the Buddha said was, people are like that. They keep chasing one pleasure after another through their senses. If one does not give them pleasure, they think maybe the next one will give me pleasure. So they keep seeking until the end of their lives, and then start a new life in the birth cycle, and keep doing the same thing. And another simile the Buddha gave was that these six senses are like oceans. You know how so many rivers throughout in many parts of the world, rivers are falling into the ocean. But however much water that comes into the ocean does not get overfilled. Just like the Buddha said, your eye is an ocean that can never be filled. Your ear is an ocean that can never be filled. Your sense of smell is an ocean that can never be filled. You keep asking for more and you get more, but you are never satisfied. So it is just like the ocean. And another simile the Buddha gave was that seeking pleasure is like having an itchy rash. Has any of you got an itchy rash ever? Whoever that had may know, if you have itchy rash, you feel like scratching that because it is so itchy. But your parents might say, don't scratch that. But you can't stay. You want to itch. There is a big urge to scratch that. But what's the problem? When you scratch that, that itch spreads even more and becomes worse. So it becomes even itchier. So now you want to scratch it even more. So the Buddha said people are like that itchy rash. So you keep on scratching, hoping that it will cure, but it is not a cure. It is actually making things worse. And I will stop my segment today with a little story, which I found in a Zen Buddhist story that was about seeking happiness as well. Once there was this wise old dog happily sleeping in a corner peacefully, and his sleep was disturbed suddenly when he heard the mad barking of a little puppy. And the little puppy was making so much noise, crashing into things and barking, and this old wise dog got up and went to see what's going on. Then he saw this puppy running behind his tail. Then the wise old dog asked the little puppy, why are you making so much noise? What are you doing chasing your tail like that? And then the little puppy stopped for a moment and said, Master, I discovered happiness. Happiness is in my tail. That's why I'm chasing my tail. I'm going round and round. I am going to catch this tail and then I'll be happy. And then that wise old dog said, little puppy, don't be silly. When I was your age, when I was a little puppy, I also thought that I discovered happiness in my tail, and I also chased round and round, thinking that I will become happy. I went round and round so fast, I became dizzy and fell fainted. But now I'm an old wise dog, and I just mind my own business. I don't chase after my tail, but when I just mind my own business, the tail comes behind me. That is, the happiness just follows me. So like that, if you don't keep chasing happiness through your senses, happiness automatically comes following you. So that is actually the very good example for understanding what attaining enlightenment or Nibbana is all about. Once you stop chasing things through your six senses, you automatically become so peaceful and so happy, and you will have lasting peace, and will also stop becoming born again and again in this samsara, and you will achieve Nibbana. And I hope all of you who are stuck in your homes watching movies, eating food, or complaining that you can't go out and play. Learn to be disciplining your senses, and then you will achieve more and more happiness. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajit sir, for explaining the 6 senses for us, and also sharing that little story at the end of the session. It's a very broad, it's a very deep topic that Ajit sir tried to explain in about 15 minutes of time. Most of the senior students that probably will understand a little bit deep into the topic, and some of our parents too, the importance of 6 sense, and that is of looking out that we need to look in and examine these things very carefully. So we thank Ajit sir for completing our 3rd segment. Let's move on to our last segment. And also a quick reminder, if you have any questions, you can use the little question mark button on the top hand right, and send through the questions that you have. We can see some of the questions have come through already, so thank you for actively participating in the event so far, and continue to send those questions. So let's move on to our last segment for the day, which is conducted by one of our veteran teachers, Teacher Dilini, and she has chosen a very timely topic as well. It's about how to use wisdom, kindness, and gratitude around these challenging times. Everyone's not at ease these days, so let's see what Dilini teacher has to teach us about using our wisdom, kindness, and gratitude around these challenging times. So Dilini teacher, over to you now.
Thank you, Siddhanta teacher, and thank you to all of you who have been listening to today's session. Theruwan Saranai. Firstly, my heart goes out to all of the people around the globe who have been negatively impacted by the current situation with the virus, and I wish them all a speedy recovery. Now, there might be some of you who are very bored at home and annoyed that you can't go to school or go out with your friends. Everybody's talking about negative things, and you're wondering when all of this is going to end. Most of you, though, are probably being very good, kind, and understanding, which is great. There's a lot that we can learn from this experience, and we can relate it back to some core Buddhist concepts. I'll be talking about using our knowledge to choose how we react to certain things, and always choosing the best way. Then I'll be talking about gratitude and finishing up with a story. First, we can reflect on the fact that sometimes, no matter what we do, some things are simply out of our control. Even if we try our best, the outcome is just not what we want, and this relates to our past actions. Things we thought, did, or said have consequences. Sometimes we can change how these consequences affect us, but sometimes we can't. So if you're experiencing something quite negative at the moment, it's important to realise that it might be one of those things you're just going to have to experience. So swiftly move on from it and do the best that you can. If we do have to experience the results of bad karma created in the past, we don't want to create more bad karma in the process. So we should think about how we should react before having a very emotional reaction about it. So some key words that I want you guys to keep in your minds are wisdom, loving kindness, patience, and compassion. These are important and very practical things we can actively choose every day. So stop yourself before you do or say something that you'll regret, because it's just not worth it. It's bad enough that we're stuck at home and worrying about our health. Try to imagine yourself in the other person's shoes and respond with understanding and kindness. We also see a lot of negativity in the news, and the reporters are talking about how people are dying and people are not listening to the government's rules. This kind of thing can make us feel sad, helpless, bitter, and hateful, but creating these negative feelings within ourselves doesn't actually help the situation. Instead, what we need to do is realise that we can't save other people from their own bad deeds. But what we can do is we can feel compassion for those people affected by the virus and share our merits with them. We can practice the loving kindness meditation and spread metta to them through our minds. If we're in a position to be able to help them, So some people who don't have enough to eat or unable to go to the shops, we can try and safely provide them with the things that they need. Also, during this time when we're all at home, our parents are home, siblings are home, just be kind to everybody because we're all trying to do our best. So to sum up the first point, we can see that when certain negative thoughts arouse in our mind, we should look inside ourselves and try to dissolve away the bad feelings using wisdom. There are things we can't change, so holding on to negative feelings like anger and bitterness only ends up hurting ourselves. We can compare holding on to these bad feelings like holding on to a hot burning coal. In the end, it only ends up burning our own hands. So always try to make a conscious decision to choose the higher path. Now on to my next point, which is gratitude. It might be hard to think of things to be thankful during this time, but believe me, there is so much. The Lord Buddha has reiterated the importance of gratitude. One of the best known portrayals of gratitude is when the Buddha stared unblinking at the Bodhi tree in gratitude for the shelter that it provided him. So the Buddha has taught us that acquiring a human life is so special and so rare. We shouldn't forget this. So to give you guys a bit of an example of how rare it is, imagine the ocean, imagine a ring, big ring floating around the ocean, and in the ocean is a little blind turtle. Okay, and this turtle, once every 100 years, he pokes up his head up to the surface of the ocean. Now, imagine how small the likelihood is of every 100 years that turtle who pokes his head up out of the ocean to stick his head into that randomly floating ring that's in the ocean. Very, very rare. And that's like the chance that we'll be born as a human. So look, here we are in a very, very fortunate position. So it's important to be grateful for this birth and to make the most of it, because we're able to grasp the Dhamma and move forward towards Nibbana and away from unfortunate births where we can't do good things and gain merit. We also have very easy and safe access to the Lord Buddha's teachings. This is another wonderful thing to be grateful for. Some people don't know how to tell the difference between good and bad, and some people are having a difficult time grappling with the current situation. But we have some easy and clear instructions from the Lord Buddha's Dhamma that we can follow. So, for example, we've got the 5 precepts, the 4 noble truths, the 10 perfections, and everything we learned at today's session as well. If you don't know what these are yet, we'll definitely learn about it during Dhamma school or during these sessions, and I know that they're part of the syllabus, especially in later primary school and high school. So back to gratitude. We should be grateful also to our parents, all right, who shelter, feed, bathe, and clothe us. They make sacrifices for our well-being. They spend a lot of time, effort, money on making us into well-rounded human beings. So I can't even begin to explain how much our parents have done for us, and it's a debt that's impossible to repay. So every day we can show them that we appreciate them. All right, so for example, we can try and listen to everything that they tell us. I know it's hard when you're staying at home, always having to deal with your parents these days, but just try and make sure that you make their lives as easy as possible because they're only trying to help you. Another good thing to do is that when you're developing as a person, just to make sure that you remain a well-behaved, decent and respectable person, because this will make your parents proud and relieve that you're able to take care of yourself and others and make a positive contribution in the world. During this time, take care of yourself and your siblings and follow all the safety measures recommended by the doctors. From a Buddhist perspective, you can do pujas with your parents in the evenings to gain blessings and merits for yourself, but also spread and share the merits to all living beings. This is a good opportunity to learn new skills, put effort into your studies and your hobbies, and also spend some time practicing your gathas and reading and revising your Buddhist knowledge. Another thing we should be grateful for is that we live in Australia and we have access to one of the best healthcare systems in the world. So we're surrounded by cleanliness and good hygiene. We're blessed with being able to live happy and secure lives. So even in this situation where there's a pandemic and a disaster, we'll always have access to clean water and good nutrition. So if you've got anxiety about the situation at the moment, just understand that we are in good hands. So we shouldn't be becoming sad about small and trivial things. We just have to be thankful for our everyday blessings. Alrighty, so in conclusion, let's summarize what I was talking to you about. Number 1, use the power of your thoughts and the ability of your mind to reflect on Lord Buddha's teachings. This will help you to choose to react in a good and beneficial way. We don't want to use anger, hatred, greed, pride, or ignorance to guide our thoughts, actions, and speech. When we're faced with a bad situation, try to create wise thoughts in our minds and act in a wholesome way. In some cases, this can mean acceptance. In other cases, it may mean that you have to show kindness and patience. Number 2, it is important to be grateful. This not only helps us to focus on what's truly important, but it also makes us into better people because we're able to recognize how other people help us and acknowledge their efforts. It's a powerful tool that we can use daily to help us improve our thoughts, help us practice mindfulness, and also realize that we're in a special position. You're not the only person affected by this. We're all facing this together, so we have to try our best to help everybody. Now for the story. Okay, so during the time of the Lord Buddha, there was a boy named Chattamanavaka. He was clever and he was able to complete all of his studies earlier than everybody else. So at the conclusion of his education, he was supposed to go and pay his teacher for the school fees. So he had his bag of money and he was making his way to his teacher's place. Now the Lord Buddha was able to see that this boy would suffer an unfortunate fate during this journey. The boy would be bashed to death by thieves who would steal his money. His story just took a very morbid turn suddenly. So the Buddha had great compassion for this boy and decided he would try and help. He appeared in front of the boy. The boy recognized the Buddha straight away and he bowed in respect. He had not heard much of the Dhamma though. So the Buddha taught him about the 5 precepts and immediately Chattamanavaka was delighted. His heart was full of admiration and devotion to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. The Buddha also taught him 3 gathas that the boy memorized and recited on his way to the teacher. But on his way, of course, the thieves still came, murdered the boy and took his money. Now you're wondering, so what use were these gathas? The boy's mind was so pure and full of admiration for the Buddha's teachings that he felt no anger towards the thieves. So even though he died, he was born in a heavenly world full of delights and pleasures. He thought, wow, even after such a short period of Buddhism, I was able to gain merit and be born in a better place. I must go to the Buddha and give thanks. So he paid his gratitude to the Buddha and he was amazed at how much good thoughts could help him. So the question burning in your minds is, what were these gathas? You already know them, or most of you do. You know, at the end of every Dhamma school session, we recite Yovada Thampava Manu Yesu. Yes, those are the gathas. So whenever you feel scared or worried, just realize that you already know these gathas and you can recite them to gain some protection. The gathas remind us of the greatness of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, so you'll always have these good thoughts in your mind. You can use this time to learn it if you don't already know it, okay? This story tells us to always have good thoughts in our minds and to pay gratitude to people who have helped us and to take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. That brings me to the end of my session. Thank you all for listening and Theruvan Saranai. Back to you, Teacher Siddhanta.
Thank you, Dhirini teacher, for that detailed explanation and a timely reminder for all of us that there are so many things we can be gratitude towards around these difficult times, and there is no need to accumulate further karma of being negative and angry for what we experience, for whatever the things that we've done in the past. Just to summarize, before we go into the questions today, so our Venerable Shanta Vimalatero spoke about the good friends and the bad friends we should know about and the qualities and how do we identify them by explaining a verse from Dhammapada. And then we had our Vijayadasa explain about the 6 years of ascetic Gautama leading up to the enlightenment and some of the difficulties ascetic Gautama that had to go through to achieve the supreme bliss of Nibbana. And then we had Ajit sir spoke about the 6 senses and used some similes and a story and examples and how to control and how to have the awareness. And just then Dilinity to explain about showing gratitude, use our wisdom and kindness around these difficult times we go through. And I think it's also a timely reminder for us. We can always, and we all of us can practice kindness meditation. We know that, we know how to practice it, how to do it. So it's probably time to do it now at home. Practice the kindness to your family, your village, the country, and for the whole world, for every living being, because we are all in it together. And also, like Dilini teacher explained, those 3 gathas, if you don't know, if you have the textbook, they're on the last page of your textbook. It's written with the meaning. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the Chattamanavaka Gatha, it's the qualities of the triple gems in there, and you can refer to the back of your page for further reference as well. So let's move on to some of the questions we have, and thank you very much. We received a number of questions today. That's really great, so everyone's actively participating here. So the first question I will ask our Venerable Hamuduro. The question is from a grade 2 student. They want to know, what does betterment of life means, Hamuduruni?
Okay, thank you for the question, and it was a good question. And in this content, the betterment means the success of your future, right? For example, when the beginning of your life, if you start associating with bad friends, for example, friends who keep stealing, so your future will be ended up with becoming a robber, right? The chances are very, very common to be like that. So the betterment of life means the success of your life in the future, right? If you keep associating with the noble and virtuous friends, so those associations bring you to the happiness and success of your life in the future. So that is the meaning of betterment, right? Success of your life. I hope that the little girl understand that.
Thank you, Hamuduruni, for answering that question. And there are a few questions that ask. I will try to combine a few of the questions together. And the questions are for our Vijayadasa sir. It's about the 6 years that spent in search for the noble truth by ascetic Gautama. And if I may read 3 or so questions, you can probably answer all together. One of the questions we have is, why does Lord Buddha want to find the end of suffering, or end to suffering, is the question 1. And then a couple of people ask, what happened to Princess Yasodhara and Prince Rahula after Prince Siddhartha left the palace? And there is also another question about how did Prince Suddhodana, King Suddhodana felt when they heard from the devas or the gods about the passing of Prince, but in fact the prince was fainted. So I'll try to put 2 questions together if you want to take over and provide an answer, sir.
Thank you, Siddhant sir. They are really good question, I believe, from my students. Actually, in my talk, I covered big area. Therefore, I summarized it and did not give much details there. It is good you asked this question. First of all, why ascetic Gautama born to end this suffering? So the answer, I got two parts there. First of all, during this life, so once Prince Siddhartha was born, those people, knowledgeable people, told King Suddhodana, that was Prince Siddhartha's father, that one day Prince Siddhartha will going to become Lord Buddha. Therefore, what King Suddhodana did really there, he prevented all these kind of negative things to be seen by Prince Siddhartha. For example, King Suddhodana prevented old people, sick people, dead bodies, and ascetic not to come the front of the Prince Siddhartha. So Prince Siddhartha never saw those people. So when he was going to the royal garden later, when he became an adult and so married and all these things, that time he saw old people and sick people, dead people and ascetic. So it was a surprise to them. Then he asked his associate, who are they? Then the associate was explaining to Prince Siddhartha, we all get one day old people, we will get the old age. We will get sick. See what happened today to the world? Like that, we all get sick. People will die. And some people want to find the path to liberation, so they will become ascetic or monks. This is the way it is happening. So it made it really a sudden change to the Prince Siddhartha. And he thought, one day I will become an old person. I will get sick. I will die. What is the end? So then from birth to birth, we will go one life to another and we will be reborn and we will die again. So what is the end here? We are always suffering. That's the first part really here. Second part really here, it is not Prince Siddhartha's this life. It is really continuing from many previous life. Some of you know that Prince Siddhartha got a real assurance from one of the previous Buddha called Lord Buddha Dipankara. That time Lord Buddha assured, one day you will become a Buddha. So that assurance was there. Therefore, thereafter, so ascetic Gautama in the previous life, he was practicing all these things. Remember, if you practice in one life something, that will go to next life, whatever that way. That means when he come to this life, he got a lot of things in his bank account. Bank account means that is really within his inside. So all these things what he completed previous years. Remember, we call about the 10 perfections. Like loving kindness, he made it perfect in previous life. Therefore, this time it is actually kind of a fulfillment of that one. That's why he really wanted to end up the suffering. That's the one thing. The second part of the question, if I remember correctly, I will answer as I recall it. So then, Siddhartha sir, can you really tell me the second part really here? I really missed that part.
Yes. Yes, Vijay sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yes, thank you. The second question is about how Princess Yashodhara and Prince Rahula felt after Prince Siddhartha left the palace.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Actually, Princess Yasodhara was very sad, but it was tolerable to her. And the other thing, Prince Siddhartha knew that even he left the palace, those two Princess Yasodhara and son Rahula, they will be looked after by royal family, because there was King Suddhodana, he was a powerful person, they would look after. So Prince Siddhartha had that assurance. So with that assurance, he left there. Today we know some people tell that Prince Siddhartha left, he left his wife and just born son. Some people are blaming it is not like that. He got a big aim. Prince Siddhartha got a big aim. It is not only for this life. So he left there. Prince Yasodhara, as I mentioned earlier, she was sad. Remember, once ascetic Gautama was having those hardships, Prince Yasodhara also knowing that, she also had a hardship. She was following the hardship life. Knowing that Prince Siddhartha, the ascetic Gautama was eating only once per day, Princess Yasodhara also started eating once per day. Knowing that ascetic Gautam was wearing yellow robes, Prince Yasodhara also started wearing yellow robe. Like that, she was sad, but it could understood to her what is the aim really here. The other thing, please remember, association between Princess Yasodhara and Prince Siddhartha was not only for this life. It happened many previous lives. So that is the thing. Therefore, it is not one in this life. Therefore, it came from their inside. So it is really understandable. That way they managed really here. Siddhartha sir, can you tell me the last question?
I think, sir, you collectively answer all three questions now. Also explaining why ascetic Gautama wanted to find the end of suffering was one of the questions there. And I think you explained that there was previous assurance and having completed 10 perfections, or Dasaparamita we say. I think, sir, you answered the questions for now. Now I am a little bit mindful of the time as well, but I'll ask a question or two from our Ajit sir now. It's about senses and thoughts. Ajit sir, if you are listening, a couple of questions around here is, why do we have senses and why do we need senses? And there's also a question, can we live without thoughts? If you want to.
Yes, thank you, Siddhant sir. Yes, the need for senses, I think I just briefly mentioned that at the start of my lesson. Now, we need to look for food. We need to look for where we live, or we need to hear if there are dangerous animals or somebody following us. So all kinds of things like that. When we live in this world, we need to have those senses for our survival. So that is why all animals and humans, they have those senses. Without senses, you will just be like an object. Yeah. So, and then the next one, the thoughts. The thoughts also, that is what differentiates beings from just physical objects like a box or a cricket bat or a book or something which cannot think, whereas we can think. And without thoughts, we will just be. Now, a good example is once a person dies, what happens? All the senses and everything, the eye is still there, the nose is still there, ears are still there, but they cannot see, hear, smell, etc. because the mind has gone away. So mind and the thoughts, they are very important. Yeah.
Thank you, Ajit sir, for shortly but explain that a complete answer. Thank you, Ajit sir, for providing that update. A short but a very good answer. And I'm going to ask the last question from our Hamuduro. It's from a grade 5C student. It's about friends. And the question is, what can we do when people won't leave you alone? I think, we have sometimes those type of friends who keep harassing you and will not leave you alone. I think that Puta wants to know what to do in a situation like that. So we'll make sure that's our last question for the day, given the time right now. So Hamdurone, if you want to address that quickly, Avasara.
Yeah, thank you for another questions for me. If they don't want to leave you alone, but it is okay if that person is a good person. So if the person is a good person, the person which has good qualities, then you can associate such kind of friends. But if they don't want to leave you alone, but make sure that you live with the good friends or good people, right? So even if they don't want to leave you alone, but you have to keep some distance, right? Nowadays we are practicing the social distance. So that's why if they are good, actually you can be with them and associate with them. But if they are not really good, even though they don't let you to be alone, but you try to keep some distance with them, right? Because you know that they are not really good people to be associated with and good friends to be associated with. So having understood about their qualities, about their weaknesses, about their negative negative feeling or negative thoughts, So you can keep some distance, you can practice some distance, right? So that's why it's very important. Don't worry about whether they don't let you to be alone or they don't allow you to be alone. But the most important thing is that please understand yourself, right? Understand whether they are good or bad. Then you can take your own decision to keep some distance, or whether you want to associate with them or stay or not. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ape Haundurone, for answering that question and also explaining that also look in yourself on those scenarios and also do not get angry or upset, and practice more kindness is an opportunity for us in those scenarios. Now, we have come to the end of the session today. Before we share the merits with the divine beings, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who joined us today and for asking all the questions and for your participation. This program will later on be published to our YouTube channel. So you can access this recording if you have other questions, or if you missed anything, you can go back and revisit these videos. And also I want to thank our Venerable Shanti Malatero, Vijay as a teacher, Ajit sir and Dilini sir for spending their time. And we are all working from different locations. And there are a couple of people, 2-3 people behind the screen that you didn't get to see today. Worked very hard over the last few days. We did a number of testings just to make sure that we can run this session smoothly today and we can reach out to our children and the parents so we can continue our learning. So I want to thank everyone. And now, as the last step, I'm going to invite our Hamuduro to share the merits with the divine beings. And then we'll conclude the program for today, and we'll be back at the same time next week at 2 o'clock, and you will receive further updates on what sort of the topics we will be discussing and the detailed update closer to the date. Hamdrone Avsarai.
Okay, this is the last part of our discussions today. It is the great thing that we need to share the merits with the divine being and celestial being. And may all divine being and celestial being come forward and rejoice in these merits. Having rejoiced in these merits, may all divine beings be able to extend and provide their protection to the members of the people in this world, especially those people who are suffering from this COVID-19 in this world today. Be protected by the blessings of all the divine beings, and finally may all the divine beings be able to attain the final goal of Nibbana. Having wished that, we recite these stanzas together. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu sasana. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu desana. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu tvam sada. Okay, Theruvan Saranai, wish you all the best.